Aaron, Aaron, Schmautz, Schmautz. I'm the president of the Portland Police Association.
So, Aaron, I'm just wanting to hear a little bit about what's going on right now in the department with obviously a suspect who shot two officers being on the loose.
Sure. I mean, these kinds of circumstances are incredibly difficult, both for our law enforcement officers, but their families as well. I think very often people forget, our police officers are human beings who leave a home with, spouses and children and lives, to go and serve the community. And so when things like this happen, it really strikes at the heart of every single person, who, has a police officer in their family. And our officers also, this happens, you go to roll call, one of your coworkers who was sitting, or in this case, two of your coworkers who were sitting in roll call with you get shot, nearly murdered, and you then go and continue to look for that person, right? The world doesn't stop for us. We continue to have to go and do the work. And so I think that is kind of the sentiment. There's also been a pretty significant amount of frustration and sadness in our membership as to how this event has kind of been navigated by some of our media and some of our elected officials. Anywhere from just disregard to just over pretending that it didn't happen. It's been kind of hard to watch.
I did see your statement about the article there. So with the this particular incident, I know that it's not, thankfully it's not super common, at least in
Yeah.
Portland, for this to happen. Just looking back at some of the incidents. So what right now is the feeling? What are you hearing from some of the rank and file officers and their family members?
I think, it is just an overtly stressful time. And this is, you have to, I think paint the picture as it relates to the larger picture of policing in Portland right now. It's just incredibly difficult. This has been a very, very incredibly difficult handful of months. And this call for service was not an emergency. It was not some, significant tactical incident or some outlier call. This is a call for service that we get hundreds and hundreds of times a day around the city. And so, every officer who's out there responding to a routine call right now, is wondering reasonably, am I going to encounter this person or someone like them? And also you have to consider the fact that we have just kind of all hands on deck looking for this monster who attacked our officers, to get him into custody. And so, it's a great risk to our public. It's a great risk to our officers. It is, in my opinion, kind of a fracture in our social fabric, when you have people who are willing to murder, or attempt to murder police officers. So, I just think it's stressful. And then also, just sitting down with the families who were impacted by this directly, their lives have been really significantly impacted. These injuries were grievous. It's been weird to see, people are like, oh, they're fine, they're surviving, they're healing. The injuries were grievous and life altering. And we don't release the specific injuries for investigative and personal privacy reasons. But I just think it's important the public knows that these were very serious and potentially deadly injuries. And I will say I've been just blown away by the support from community, from a handful of people in elected office and from other police agencies and police leadership around the country and locally. That is very uplifting, and I've made sure that my members are aware that that's happening.
Yeah, talk about how that works when you have a member in the hospital. I've seen, when this has happened in the past, just tons of patrol cars going to the hospital, you guys going out there and supporting.
Right.
Is that what that looks like in this situation? You still have someone there, or people just round the clock visiting? How does that work?
Well, I mean, when a police officer, it's pretty standard practice nationally. When a police officer is, injured in the line of duty and is at a hospital, they're in an incredibly vulnerable state. It is a stressful time for a hospital because you have, again, if someone is willing to hurt or kill a police officer, they're willing to go great lengths to not get caught as well. And so having, police officers guard that individual is actually providing safety both for the member and their families, but also for the hospital to ensure that they're safe as well.
So that's happening, people standing guard. What
Yes.
about, like visits too? I would imagine everyone who
Sure.
does.
I mean, obviously, we want to make sure our member and their family are supported, that they have, and so it would not surprise anyone that those hallways aren't very empty.
In terms of, I mean, this guy's still being on loose. I don't know how much you can say about this or not, but community is on high alert. People are every time there's a significant police presence for anything around town, everybody's wondering is that why they're there? Um,
Yeah, so I mean, we will leave no stone unturned and we will catch this person. We will do everything we can and continue to investigate every possible lead. Officers and detectives are in the area canvassing, looking for video. If this person was in the area, then it stands to reason that someone in that area may know who they are. And so, we will not stop until we find this individual.
is it common for this to take this long to find someone? But can you talk a little bit about the circumstances there? What was that, is that neighborhood a place where it's just easy to get away?
Well, I mean, the reality is two officers were ambushed and gravely injured, and so the initial officers were unable to take the individual into custody because they were, seriously incapacitated and injured. So now it turns into an investigation where you both have to identify who someone is and where they are. And you also have to do that safely. I heard some community comment about why the immediate search was concluded. When you're doing a block search, obviously you're following leads, but you can't like entirely shut an entire neighborhood down indefinitely if you don't have leads that are immediate or that can be followed up on. So, our role initially is to attempt to locate the suspect, but also ensure that a neighborhood is immediately safe, that they haven't, hunkered down in someone's backyard or they haven't broken into a house or something like that. And then it transitions into, an information gathering effort because you want to make sure that we want to capture this person safely. It's our responsibility. I think the big difference between law enforcement and kind of the general population is, there's rules and laws that dictate how we navigate things. Our responsibility is to bring people to justice safely, both for, again, the person who carried out this horrible act, and for the community and for our officers. But there's also a lot of evidence to gather and everything else. So, these searches are purposeful, they're intentional, and you got to make sure you do it in a safe way.
For me, being in the job that I am, I haven't seen this very often where it takes this long for a manhunt to conclude. You you would know a lot more than me about this. I'm just wondering if is this something that's common for it to take this long to locate him?
Every situation is different, I mean, I think if you immediately know someone's identity, then that makes things go quicker. If you are able to keep a person in an area, so those searches are different. But again, the reality is every situation is different. I think it's very uncommon to have all officers on a scene so gravely injured and unable to really defend themselves, or take further action. And so, the focus on a scene like that is very complicated. You can't immediately engage in a search that is as robust as you're trying to ensure that you're safely evacuating and caring for two gravely injured police officers. So whether or not something is standard, I mean, again, every one of these circumstances is different. The variables are different. But I'm very confident in our investigators and their ability to do their jobs.
When you say the two officers were ambushed, I just want to make sure we're clarifying. Is there any indication that the call that came into 911 was part of that setup?
No, and again, I don't have, and nor would I release any information about the investigation, other than to say that obviously when the officers responded to the call, they weren't responding to a call in which they said, "Hey, we're going to shoot at you when you get here, so prepare for that."
Right,
Ambush in the English dictionary use of the term, these officers responded to a call for service to assist the community, and instead were met with gunfire.
right. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we clarify that so there's no
Yep.
misunderstanding.
Yep.
Okay, I think that's all I wanted to cover. If there's anything else you want to say, message of support to your fellow officers.
Sure. I think the biggest thing for me, honestly, is to our families. Policing is difficult, but the reality is too is that again, our families carry a burden that most people don't see and understand. Both the PPA and our entire law enforcement community will always be here to support our families. Our officers deserve support. I'm pretty concerned about the level of apathy around this event as it relates to many people in our media, in our elected government. These officers are out there every single day protecting everyone. And when they go on behalf of our community to protect our community and are hurt in this way, I just think it's just a baseline that we honor that and respect that and call it out for what it is as violence.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I appreciate
Yep.
it. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.